Hi ladies and gentlemen, it's been a few months actually since I put up a video, and in reality there will be this video and 3 more, kind of in a series. I asked Brant Thornton to put his ideas and feelings on YouTube so that we can have a little different perspective than just mine. But I thought I should do this introductory video just to kind of set the stage for what's coming here. So what I've done is I've decided that there's really not a whole lot that we can do to change the course of our leaders. They're just not going to respond. They're not going to do the right thing. And unfortunately, 3 to 6%, while historically that's been able to make a difference in the world, like in the Revolution, 1776, and things like that. The fact of the matter is the surveillance state and the apparatus that the state has in place has now made that almost impossible, in the weapon systems and those types of things. I'm not saying this to be presenting it from a defeated point of view, because I am an idealist in a lot of ways, but because I think it has to be practical. So, as I've said from the very beginning of all these things, you know, preparing food and water and ammunition and having a place where you can gather with like-minded people, all of that's really important. And of course, I've been trying to lean more towards our spiritual preparations, that however you see God in whatever situation you find yourself, that you will seek guidance from that supreme being. And really the change has to be in our hearts and in our minds. The administrations and operations of our faith are minuscule compared to what's in our heart and in our mind, because as you know, I'm a follower of the Judeo-Christian tradition. I call myself a Jamesian Christian, for lack of a better term. And that's really not that important for you. What is important is that I hold steadfastly to the perfect law of liberty. And that's really what the gospel was about, the perfect law of liberty. And the sacrifice that the man that I consider to be my spiritual father and my great grandfather, yes, I do believe he had children. He would have to have, or they would have made an accusation against him. That would have been one of the major accusations against Jesus, for him not being the Messiah, or at the very least even a rabbi, if he weren't married. So I do believe that, and I didn't get this from Dan Brown's novel or anything else. This was my own independent study I came up with years ago. So at any rate, what I'm saying is that, you know, that teacher was more concerned with what's in our hearts and minds, that we have that law of God, that justice, that charity, that faith, that hope written in our hearts and minds, more than the particulars of the dogma. So I would ask you to search that out, because in reality that is going to be our salvation, not only as individuals but as a people. I don't think the nation is savable, but a new nation will be born of this, and will be, I think, a godlike nation once all of this is over with. So what is this video series going to be about? Well, in the description box below I've listed some links. Some of you by now should have heard about it. If you haven't, you need to find out about the Jade Helm operation that the Special Operations Command is going to conduct in several southwestern states, 2 of which they list as hostile states. And this is something new that's never been seen before. They're listing Texas and Utah as hostile. Now, whether or not that's for exercise purposes or not, to even bring that up as such is wrong. And this isn't about attacking or going after Muslims or even a garden plot mission of civil disturbances. This is about taking over those states militarily, using unconventional warfare tactics. And it says that. If it was a civil disturbance operation, it would say that. It doesn't say that. It says it's an unconventional warfare operation. So they're saying they're going to conduct unconventional warfare against these states. That means picking up dissidents, whether they're governors and legislators or just little individuals like you and me. This is really, really dangerous. And this came down from very, very high levels. This isn't just something that Northcom came up with on their own. This came from the National Command Authority, and there are reasons for it. It ties in with the land grab that they attempted to do at Bundy Ranch in Nevada, and really the land grabs that they're doing all over the western states primarily. And Brand is going to get into that. I kind of want to stay on totally the spiritual side and just say that with this thing on Jade Helm, that the evil people are really showing their true colors now, and you really need, if you haven't started to wake up, you really need to quickly. Don't want to go into it much deeper than that. Other than that, when your government starts to consider that you are the enemy, one of two things has happened. Either you've gone astray or they've gone astray. And I can guarantee you that anybody who stands up with the Constitution, with the idea of individual liberty, should not be the enemy of this government unless the government has gone bad. So that's how I look at it. Tied in with the Jade Helm situation is the Asian Development Investment Bank, which is a rival to the World Bank, and many European nations have already exited the World Bank and have gone to this, which has caused a great deal of distress, I guess I could say, to the United States government. And rightly so. We've been a bully in the world for too long. We've been trying to, force everybody into our way of thinking, and that's not what we should have ever been at any time. If you're really as good as you say you are, you set the example. You do things at home that make people want to emulate you, okay? And again, we haven't been perfect. But that's how it was supposed to be. And unfortunately now it's turned into forcing our will on others. And this terrible thing that's happened in Ukraine and the Middle East and Syria, with the thousands and thousands of Christians slaughtered by the very forces that our intelligence agencies have created, funded, armed, and trained. And then, like I say, in Ukraine, our intelligence services did overthrow the legitimate Ukrainian government. They are trying to take over other areas like Uzbekistan, and there are other activities like that along the Russian southern border. We are the aggressors. There's no doubt about that. And I just want to say again, we should be the example to the world of righteousness, not this empire building, which Karl Rove admitted we're doing. So at any rate, spiritually, how do I look at it? The world will be in commotion. Men's hearts will fail them. If you believe in the sacrifice of the person called Jesus Christ, then you know that the individual sins of all of us, as long as we try to do the best we can and repent and try to get better, are going to be forgiven. God said He'd take care of that. All right, not the evil people. If the evil, that's up to God if He wants to forgive them. Don't misunderstand me. But the truly evil people that choose evil to hurt other people, they're going to have a little different circumstance, and I know that. Especially those who know the truth and fight against it openly. But what God's really after in these last days is that He wants to thrash the nations. The nations are what this is about, because initially it was for the individual. Now the kingdom of God is on our doorstep. And so, kingdoms stand up against other nations and kingdoms. And God says He will throw down all nations. And the people that are in this New World Order think that they're the hand of that God in following all this. They're using the Bible as their playbook, as I said in Divide the Word Part 1 and Part 2, videos that I did, 3 years ago now, 2-3 years ago. So they follow the playbook and they think they're right, but look at the fruits that they use to do that. Okay, that shows you who they are. So, like I say, God's about coming after these evil nations, the leaders in particular of these evil nations. And that's what we're going to be seeing here very soon. So what's going to happen? Well, a division is taking place right now. It's becoming more and more clear what evil and what good is, and our ability to see it and to choose between the two. And that's really what the division is going to be. Where are you going to be? And I've said that for a long time too. It's time to choose. Are you going to choose evil, or are you going to choose good? Do you know the difference? Do you want to know the difference? Do you even care? Are you going to be hot or cold or lukewarm? If you're lukewarm, you're out of the game anyway. You're going to get spit out. So you got to choose one or the other. And that's really where we are at this point. So something major is going to happen that's going to leave no doubt in your mind or mine what right and wrong is on a major scale. That's what's happening here. Prepare yourself spiritually, so with your heart and your mind, with your loved ones, so that you can make the right decision. I won't get any deeper into it than that for right now. As I said, the links for Jade Helm are below. The link, there are a couple of other links down there. I did a show with Pete Santilli here the other day. The link for that's below as well. I'm about, I don't know, maybe an hour into it, I think. I'm not exactly sure. The whole program, I think, is worth listening to. My interview is only about 45 minutes or so. But I think the whole program is worth listening to. So anyway, I'll leave that with you. Please watch this video, which you already are, and the other 3 that are coming up. I want you to kind of get Brand's perspective on this, because I think it is absolutely imperative. Choose you this day who you will serve. As for me and my house, and I haven't got much house left. You make stands like this, and people have a tendency to flee. And I'm probably not the easiest person to get along with all the time, but I have love in my heart. That I do. So I will choose, and I hope my house will choose, to serve the Lord.